Good evening and welcome everyone to another edition of Fridays with Friends. It's good to see you all. Tonight's friend, BK Vijai. I like the sound of that, BK Vijai. Originally from Trinidad, but today coming us from Peace Village, or
Yes.
very good. And you can get more into that as we go on. And I guess I read from your bio that originally your profession is as a teacher.
Yes, professionally I'm a teacher, but in fact I spend more time working as a business person in our family business.
But some skills, I have watched with some interest some of the videos that you have made before, and your way of coming across is very much like a teacher. It's very informed, very logical, and beneficial. So the title given to today's chit chat is The Art of Happiness. And one question I always like to start off every interview with is, Vijay, when you hear that term, the art of happiness, what floats into your mind?
A little bit of confusion floats into my mind. Sometimes people will ask me, are you happy? I'm never quite sure what it even means. I'm definitely not sure how to explain it. I think in terms of contentment, satisfied, being satisfied with myself, satisfied with the current situation. I am good with that. I don't know when people say happiness, whether they mean I did, happy birthday, yeah, it's Friday,
Yes.
all of that. So I enjoyed a lot of that, but I have left it behind. I feel it takes up too much energy for less benefit. And it requires a lot of sustaining.
So what I'm getting from what you're saying is that the happiness that you're thinking about is something that's maybe a little more deep, a little more sustaining than that. What is happiness exactly then?
I would like to think of it as long-term satisfaction, that you are satisfied.
Long-term satisfaction.
Content with the self, that your goals have been met, that your needs have been met, that the things you wanted to do or wanted to achieve are being met, that there is a sense of success, that there is a feeling of achievement. And this success and achievement is based on personal goals and personal measures. It's not based on other people's definition.
Do you think that this sense of contentment and the way that you're describing happiness to me, the word that's coming to me is it's kind of a peace of mind, something that's there. Is it something that I'm searching the world for, or is it something that's originally part of me?
No, I searched for it in the world and I did not find it. I found a lot of excitement, but not necessarily happiness.
Yes.
And yes, I like the peace of mind approach. For me, it means a kind of quietness of mind. So slowing down of the thinking process, less mental stress, relaxation of mind, because having achieved or things being achieved, the mind is not pushed to keep thinking and searching for solutions and searching for explanations and ideas. So this sense of quietness and things going the way I would like it to go implies that I don't have to input as much mental energy, and therefore quietness or peace or satisfaction or happiness.
So it's not the happiness, I'm happy to have a scoop of ice cream with chocolate sauce on it. That's the type of happiness you're...
Let me say I do enjoy a scoop of ice cream. but when we talk about happiness with somebody of your stature, I want contentment rather than...
In terms of one of the arts of life, it's a subject that I've been thinking about for some time, but I notice more and more people are now thinking this art of living. And I think that happiness is one of these skills, not necessarily a skill, it's a state of mind. And something that you said pricked me is that when I'm searching and going on, that's a sign that I'm looking for happiness and I'm not experiencing happiness. So the mind, maybe one of the main purposes of my intellect is to search for something that's going to satisfy me and make me content for this moment. But if I'm already content, I don't need to go searching. So maybe, and I want you to give me your take on this, is maybe that automatically slows down my thinking.
It does. But let me add that contentment doesn't imply, the contentment I'm talking about doesn't imply that I'm not searching anymore. I am continuing to make effort, but I am satisfied with the rate of my efforts or the quality of my effort. I haven't reached my goals, but I'm satisfied with the method. I'm satisfied that it is being achieved. I'm satisfied that I have something that works. And therefore, it is easier to just carry on with the routine or the schedule or the skills or the practices that I am doing. And therefore, the effort is more, it brings more benefit because I am not spending now a lot of time thinking, could I, should I, what, how, when. I already know all of that. And I am just into getting it done. So I feel that brings, it's more efficient, a greater level of satisfaction, and the mind can just focus on getting the job done, sort of living at the present, which is, what people are doing.
It sounds to me like you put a lot of honesty, that honesty is part of this process, in the process of observing yourself, like the method, and then you're just making sure that you keep applying the right method. And if you're not having success, you're able to see what it is. And I can see where that may be one of the stumbling blocks for us of, we don't feel so good when we notice that maybe my actions aren't bringing happiness, but then I don't feel maybe strong enough to have accountability for it. How do you deal with maintaining contentment even when you're not achieving the goals, or you recognize that you're making a mistake in your daily activity?
Well, I made a switch. In my earlier days, I expected other people to make me happy. And I expected things to go the way I wanted them to go. Usually they did not. So then I worked to get those people to do what I want. And usually they did not. So after much frustration, I changed the method. I worked on myself. I accepted people as they are. I accepted the situation as it is. And then I thought, really, I have to work on myself. Now, initially, this was challenging. I didn't really like working on myself because that implied to me that I was not right. And I used to like to believe I am right. But I found out that maybe I am not right in everything. And so there was a challenge to come to terms with that idea that I should change and could change. But with a little bit of practice and some patience over time, I think that has paid off a lot better than trying to change other people.
So it also sounds to me like part of the process, is part of the things that I need, is to increase my self-respect so that I could continue to make the process. Because I think a lot of times when we're looking for other people to make us happy, it's because we feel deficient in some way. But as I'm able to observe myself, I'm taking accountability for my actions. So that's another question I have for you. What place do my actions, including words, take place in my happiness?
I think it's very important, my action and words. My happiness or contentment came from making small changes. They were little individual things. I changed the way I responded. I spoke less. I joked a little less. I stopped trying to impress people. And even these things, let us say, stop trying to impress people. It's a big thing, but I did it in small steps. Like I would just keep my mouth shut when I wanted to say something smart or sharp. And over time, that became habitual and it became easier to practice. Now, once I was able to keep my mouth shut a little longer, then I could think of something better to say, or many times not say anything at all. I found that people really preferred to be listened to than to be spoken to. And so
Is
then
that
that gave me time to work on myself and how am I receiving what they are saying and listen a little more deeply and consider the changes I will make. And let them be who they want to be. And I worked on making small changes on myself.
and then you really are allowing someone else to find happiness as well, because this is another one of the, I've been doing these arts of life thing, and one of the first ones we did was the art of listening, and you just repeated that you speak less and you listen more because you realize that people need to express themselves, and also you can learn so much yourself by listening, and then it creates a harmony with one another. So my relationship, so my happiness is really affected by my relationships, isn't it?
My listening was not to make other people happy. My listening was a kind of safety, because if I keep my mouth closed and listen more, it was less likely that I said something foolish or that I regretted what I said, or that I had to apologize, or that I had to rethink, was that the correct thing, etc., etc. So that really was a lot easier.
But look at the bonus that comes with it, because I'm sure that if you observed it, that it does improve relationships, because when someone feels heard, when someone feels listened to, it changes the dynamic of the relationship right away, rather than to be talked at.
Well, I just consider that a bonus. I'm quite happy for the bonus, but it wasn't my focus.
Well, thank you for that. See, honesty is part of it. So I'm by listening to you, I'm putting this into action right now, that the happiness is related to that. So listening is actually very beneficial. And of course, is action. Another thing that I was thinking about, some of the blocks to happiness, and this is one that I find more and more as I talk to people, is that what blocks them from happiness is the past. Their past experience that they keep remembering time and time again. And that keeps, and say, how could I be happy when this happened to me in the past? Would you have any thought or insight on how to approach that, about how to deal with the past?
Yes, well, I have a lot of past. I think as much as anybody else has past. And I figured out that to repeat the past or to keep thinking about it was not useful. And therefore, I worked on solving the approach in my own mind. So I tried to find the positive view or the positive side. In other words, I looked for something to do to solve the past. So I spent many years forgiving or letting go the many situations I had created over the years. Because I meditate, and that meditation has really, I would say, been the foundation to this whole success, this whole journey. That's spending time in silence and solitude. So in that time, a lot of the past will be raised, and so I will try to sort it out. I apologize to the people who I could. I took small actions where I can. And in cases where I could do nothing, I just had to let it go. And in that way, over the years, I would say one thought at a time, I sorted out the issues so that they became less and less in the mind, less and less of a distraction. And therefore, I found that I had a little more time to work on the current issues, the present.
See, that's a very mature outlook, and not all of us are so aware that we even have that ability to let go because we don't feel empowered. And so I was going to ask you, where do you get the power from? But then you've already brought up this idea of meditation. How does meditation help me to let go of the past so I can experience the happiness of the present?
The meditation I've been doing over a long time. And I think the meditation, one of the things would be to lessen the amount of thinking that happens.
Mm.
So I interfered a lot in my own thought process. And I realized, well, maybe not realize, but I definitely feel that when I think too much, it is not good for me. And I have found through some experience that if I let go an idea, let it go, at some point, 2 days later or a week later, suddenly a solution appears that seemed to fit exactly and properly and well. And so with a few of those experiences, I have consciously tried to not think about the past or things that worry me or mistakes that I made or even things that I want to happen. I have deliberately let it go. And what do I think about? In the meantime, I just think that let it go, be at peace with yourself, be in the present, pay attention to what is happening in front of you, breathe deeply, listen to the music, walk slowly, those type of things. So the whole idea here was to lessen the amount of thinking overall, but especially the negative one.
Another thing that comes up, one more thing I want to ask you, is the feeling that I'm getting is that you've developed trust in this process. And do you see that your trust has increased, and that also tends to lead you towards the contentment?
Yeah, because it has worked for me over a number of years. That is why I have developed trust in it. Yes, I do have trust in it because it has worked.
Well, you know what? I think that we've covered everything we need because it's powerful. If I could just coalesce everything that you've said, and maybe you could help us to do that. Like, we need a lot of reminders because hearing it once is nice, but then it floats away from my mind because it's not a habit in me yet. So, and while putting that together, the meditation, would you kind of give us a meditation commentary so that we could sit and kind of filter in these ideas and thoughts that you've shared with us already? Maybe about 2 or 3 minutes.
Yes, okay, I'll be happy to do that. So now in the meditation commentary, I want to be happy, but I will not be meditating on happiness.
Okay.
I will be meditating on being, on silence, so that the mind quietens down and happiness will result somewhere.
I think that you've just given us the real key to happiness right there. It's not for the goal of happiness. It's about being, and that being is contentment, happy. It's complete. So thank you. I'm listening now.
Okay, so I always like to begin by taking a deep breath or two, as that helps to relax the body. I let the body relax and let the mind relax. I turn the attention within. I think of myself as a tiny point of light, the soul or Atma, sitting here behind the eyes. I, the soul, am separate from the body, and I am at peace. I let the mind relax. I let the thinking process slow down. And I feel a sense of calmness. in mind and body. I am a peaceful soul, detached from the world for a few moments, content in myself. I, the soul at peace. I, the soul, in the company of God. I remember my original self as a peaceful soul. I remember my original relationship as belonging to God, a child of the Father. And I remember my original home, Nirvana, a place beyond the physical, the spiritual home from where I, the soul, originates. Om Shanti.
Thank you, Vijay, so much for your honest sharing. You know, that's always, I feel that that's really the litmus test of everything, is just being oneself in the present time, and that in itself is self-respect and brings happiness. It is happiness and brings happiness to others. So thank you so much for sharing with us tonight.
You're welcome. Thank you, Craig, for having me.
And I look forward to seeing you soon.
Sure.
Yeah. Bye. Thank you. Thank you all.